Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I have another battle from the VGC 14 June International Challenge, which took place last month. Now, in the video that I made on Monday, I said I'd be doing my best to, keep up daily uploads, and you guys have showed an awesome amount of support. You guys hit the 500 likes goal every day, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and it definitely motivates me to continue making content. I was not able to get a video up yesterday or Friday, I believe, mainly because I was just super busy. I was actually out of the house, basically, for the entire past 2 days, but I will be getting more content for you guys, and I'm actually going to do more than just battles. I've been focusing on battles recently because they're the easiest content to make, but I am going to be doing more individual Pokemon analyses. If there's anything you want to see me do, definitely hit me up. Facebook is by far the best place to contact me because I made a Facebook page recently. But yeah, I have a lot more in plan for you guys, and with some time, I will be able to produce a lot more cool stuff, so stay tuned for that. I actually plan on releasing a new Pokemon analysis tomorrow, so it should be exciting. But yeah, let's get into today's battle. So, you see that I have Garchomp, Gengar, Rotom Wash, and Lucario, same stuff I've been running. My opponent has Mawile, Amoonguss, Reuniclus, and Malamar, so it looks very hardcore Trick Room, and I knew going into this, Garchomp and Gengar would be my best bet, mainly because Garchomp has the Lum Berry, Gengar can Shadow Ball, the Reuniclus for super effective damage, and I know that I need to get rid of Amoonguss right away if I want a chance of winning. Amoonguss under Trick Room is basically the scariest thing, because they can just put your entire team to sleep. So going into it, my goal is to knock out that Amoonguss. I'm fine if Trick Room goes up, because I know I can stall it out accordingly with double protects and smart switches. The issue with the hardcore Trick Room team like my opponent has is they really have to take advantage of each turn of Trick Room, but when Trick Room ends, you're suddenly slower than your opponent's Pokemon, and they can take full advantage of that. So my opponent has to play smart in order to really just take advantage of the Trick Room. Now the first turn he goes for the Rage Powder and presumably the Trick Room with Reuniclus. This is what I anticipated, and I'm okay with that. Basically, by doing this turn, I'm able to get a turn of whole free damage off. He's not going to be able to get any attacks off, and I'm perfectly fine with that. The thing is, if you want to beat a Trick Room team like this, you just got to hit it hard with damage, whether you're faster or slower, and in this case, that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make. And the Trick Room does go up, but this following turn, I know I still have the Lum Berry on Garchomp, so I know Garchomp is a huge asset. I'm going to double protect this following turn, though, because I don't want to take any damage, and I want to scout out what my opponent wants to do. Of course, if you have, there's a reason why most Pokemon in VGC carry Protect, and if you are carrying Protect, double protecting is just a great way in VGC to stall out Trick Room teams and see what they want to do. So that's one turn of Trick Room burned, and I'm fine with that. He goes for the Psychic onto Gengar now, bringing me down to its Focus Sash, and that's fine. I'm fine, either way, if he Giga Drains the Gengar or Spores the Garchomp, I'm fine with either. He does choose to Spore the Garchomp, which is actually even better for me because I am carrying that Lum Berry like I mentioned earlier, so I'm going to be able to wake up this turn. And this is really, really important because it means I'll be able to knock out the Amoonguss. Before the battle started, I stated Amoonguss was the most important Pokemon to knock out, mainly because it can Spore my entire team, and I don't actually have a way to hit it for super effective damage, so I do knock out the Amoonguss there, and that's huge. Despite Trick Room being up, I'm actually in the advantage right now. 2 turns of Trick Room left, and I KO'd the Amoonguss, which is probably the most important Pokemon I need to KO in this matchup, because it gives me the most difficult time, and I can actually even double protect this following turn. He does bring in the Mawile, and Garchomp is intimidated. Of course, you'd anticipate me switching out the Garchomp in the future turns just so I can bring it back in, because of course it gets a super effective Earthquake against Mawile, and Reuniclus at this point is in Earthquake knockout range. But like I said, I am going to just double protect again because I don't want to take any damage. I'm going to scout out what he does, and of course stall out a third turn of Trick Room. He goes for the Shadow Ball into Gengar and the Play Rough, so pretty obvious moves for him to make, and at this point, even if he KOs the 2 Pokemon I have in the back, I am going to be doing some switches here. I still have the Gengar and the Garchomp to finish up the game. So I do switch in my Lucario because it is the Mega Evolution, and at this point it actually doesn't help very much against my opponent's team, so I'm willing to sacrifice that. And I know Rotom Wash can actually survive this turn and take any attack, so that is exactly what happens. He goes for the Shadow Ball into Rotom. Rotom takes that. Lucario is going to fall down to that Play Rough, but I effectively stalled out Trick Room, and that's exactly what I needed to do. Trick Room is going to end here, and now I got a full HP neutral attack Garchomp that can come back in and just freely spam Earthquake. Surprisingly, my opponent didn't have any actually effective way to deal with the Earthquakes, and I took full advantage of that. Spread moves are really good against Trick Room teams because, you do damage to both of their Pokemon, which is obviously really important. And in this case, I was able to KO the Reuniclus with Earthquake. I was able to pressure his Amoonguss early on. His Mawile did protect there, but, there's nothing really else he could have done there. Now here, the game's still not over. He could protect with the Mawile and go for a Trick with Malamar, but instead he actually just does not even attempt to double protect. Of course, the chances of that are not too great, but it was his only win condition. As a result, I am able to KO that Mawile with the Earthquake and a Thunderbolt, and Malamar is never going to win a game against a Garchomp and Rotom Wash, even if it does have the contrary ability. He does go for the Trick Room there, so when I saw this Trick Room go up, I was kind of relieved that he didn't even attempt to go for a double protect with Mawile, but basically would have come down to that, I think. You know, if he did get the double protect off, then he would have been able to overwhelm me with the Mawile at the end of the game, but I needed to KO him there. I don't think a Hydro Pump would have KO'd the Malamar anyway. I do go for a double protect here because why not? You know, you might as well just stall at Trick Room. You always want to take full advantage of what resources you do have. He goes for the Superpower onto Garchomp, a move that should not be surprising because Malamar, of course, with its ability, gets +1 attack and defense from the Superpower. But by targeting Garchomp, of course, you're going to activate the Rough Skin as well, taking damage. And even with the critical hit, he doesn't do over 50%. So, not a very offensive Pokemon, you know. And the Rough Skin, of course, is going to do a bit of damage. I am going to go for the Thunderbolt with Rotom Wash. And you see here, it actually does a very nice amount, picking up the KO with the critical hit. So, a 3-0 victory for me there. I was basically able just to play smart. You know, Lumberry Garchomp is really, really great against Trick Room, especially, you know, my opponent's team. It matched up perfectly, and I was able to win as a result. Smart switch here and there, and my opponent really not double protecting at the end or attempting it was his ultimate downfall. But it was a pretty good game. You know, it showcases both the good and the bad of Trick Room teams. You know, that's why hardcore Trick Room isn't really a viable option, or it's not one that's seen as common this year, especially when it's plainly obvious with Reuniclus. It's always interesting to see Malamar, but it wasn't really used that much in this matchup. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that battle. Leave a like always. 500 goals is the like goal for daily uploads, but I'll be doing my best, like I said, to produce content regardless. Hope you guys enjoyed that game, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.